From the dawn of time, our ancestors have left us with the tales. Stories which speak of things that they have seen and lived alongside by, feared, respected, and even looked to some of them as godlike. Modern man refers to such things as spirits, extraterrestrials, demons, cryptids, creatures, and entities of all kinds, and so much more. These things and tales are now referred by most as myths and legends. But there are those of us that know what our ancestors spoke of was the truth. Those of us that have become obsessed in searching for answers and finding out the truth are here. We need the truth. This search brings us into the realm of the unexplained and unknown. It brings us on the trail. The search for living legends. Please join J.R. and I on the quest, and welcome to the search.
Welcome everybody to another week of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. It's going to be episode 6, and tonight it's just me and Travis. Travis, how's it going, man?
Doing good, Jeremiah. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Good. Glad to have you here with me. We just got done interesting episode of the Skookum session. Probably gonna have a few people pissed off at us, but hey, guess we're doing a little something right, you know.
Well,
but anyway,
if you're not pissing people off, you're not doing it right.
You're not doing your job right. But yeah, we get the pleasure tonight of being joined by, again, we promised you a second episode with this fascinating and awesome gentleman who's become a good friend of mine, proud to say, Mr. Abe Sias. Abe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine today. Just hanging in there.
Good to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So yeah, man, I remember we talked about some really mind-blowing stuff. Last night. We talked about it after, and we were like, yeah, this guy's the real deal. A lot of the people we run into, will hear their story and then be like, yeah, maybe not, But dude, I gotta tell you, we're a fan of yours. You've definitely experienced some stuff in your day, man, and I give you a lot of credit because I can't imagine a lot of it was easy.
Yes, it's just when you're going through things sometimes, and they're happening to you, you're like, yeah, why is this happening to me? It's kind of like trying to solve the puzzle, but sometimes those puzzles are not ready to be solved at that time. Just I guess you go through things in order to learn from them.
That's what my wife says too. Saying the same thing. Yeah, it's a good point. Absolutely. I remember we left off at a part. We got talking about we talked about you growing up in Mexico or spending your time in Mexico when you were a kid. About your brother being sick. A bunch of other things, some really interesting things, and we left off extremely interesting part, and I can't imagine it was too interesting for you, but you mentioned you were, well, one, take us from there. You were running down the road, through something pretty nasty.
Yes, I used to be in track. I would run the mile and 2 miles. So I would run around my city. There's dirt road that goes around the city. So we run around that road. And as I was running down the road, I passed Highway 77 and kept on going down the road. And that road led towards the cemetery. As I was running down the road, out of nowhere, I got hit by crap in the face and the chest. It knocked me back. That's how heavy of a load it was.
Wow.
I guess at that time I weighed like I would say 135, 142. But it hit me hard in the face. I had all over my face and my chest. And I was looking up in the sky. That's the first thing I figured is, well, maybe it was something flying in the sky. So I'm looking. I don't see nothing flying in the air. So then I'm
Right.
looking around, and the only thing that was close to me, because where I come from in Rio Grande Valley, there's nothing but fields. The
Right.
fields to the left, it was fields to the left, and then to the right, it was a certain section, and they had woods, and there was like a cabin there, and I guess that would be the where maybe possibly if something got thrown me would be from that vicinity, which was on
Right.
the right side, because there was nothing in the air, there was no airplane in the air,
Right.
there was no birds in the air. I just don't know where this big pile of shit that hit me, it hit me
Yeah.
hard,
Sure.
you know, and I was looking, you know, I had to take my shirt off and wipe my face off, but I was looking to see if see who did that, and I was looking to the wood line, but I couldn't find nobody. So I just ran to the cemetery. In the cemetery, they have the water things on the ground where they're the holes. So I got some of the water and washed my face off, and the crap I had on my thing. I left my
Right.
shirt. I threw it away. It was just I just
Covered.
till this day I don't know where the feces came from,
Mhm.
and it was a lot.
Wow.
I'm
That.
I'm not gonna I'm not trying to be gross here, but I'm gonna ask a question. The reason I'm gonna ask it is I do live in a very agricultural area,
Yes.
and different types of animals basically have different types of scat, and they have different types of smells. Like I know the difference between horse manure, cow manure, pigs, dogs. What I'm asking, and honestly, if that had happened to me, I probably wouldn't have thought this much to even think about it at the
Yes.
time. But as far as I guess the consistency and the smell, was it familiar to you as far as being any kind of known livestock or
No,
you know what I'm saying?
yes, yes. I've smelled cow poop. I've seen horse poop. This was not that. This was. It had a nasty smell to it. I mean, it was just all over my face. It was like I should have said, it just splattered all over me. You know, cow poop
Mm.
is gonna get stuck on you. It just splattered all over me. It was just splattered on my face, and it was just splattered on me. That's why I was looking up in the sky, but it didn't hit me from on top of here. It hit me like this,
Here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
directly.
from a angle, yeah.
Yeah, from an
Damn.
angle. It didn't come from the sky because I didn't have nothing up here. It was all at my face and on my chest, and
That's.
that was kind of weird to me. And you know, I don't know if there's dimensions or whatever, but
Right.
I don't know. Till this day, I don't know where the poop came from. All I know, it came
Mm.
in an angle and it hit me right in the face and chest
Yep.
because it didn't hit me on top. It hit me. I don't know, like I don't know
Right.
if something threw it at me or what. It just hit me so hard and fast. You know, it happened. It happened while I was on the run, when I was doing my run.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it would
It's
knock me
funny,
back.
it's almost, I don't mean funny, but we in the show we did before this, we were actually talking about this kind of subject. Um, a friend of ours grew up in the Amazon, and he was adopted out, as a small child. He lived with a very primitive tribe, and he would say the howler monkeys, as you walk by them, they'd chuck it. They'd chuck their shit at you,
You see,
so which,
and what's weird about that is, you know how I told you I had that encounter by the cemetery where I was driving on my old '56 Ford pickup,
yeah.
and something lifted it, and the tailgate got ripped. Uh, and it
Oh, that's
happened
right.
in the same vicinity.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and I seen something huge behind the truck. It blocked. I was seeing the ranch had lights, and I could see the ranch behind the other side. I couldn't see the ranch. I just seen a big old figure, you
Well,
know, and whatever it was had the back end of the truck up in the air because my truck was going 40, but I wasn't moving forward. My speedometer said 40,
jeez.
right? And I could see it 40, and I kept on pressing the gas to 45, but it wouldn't move forward. And I could see
Right.
the poles, right? So I'm looking with the headlights, and the poles are not moving. I'm not going forward past the poles, and then that's when it gets dropped. When it gets dropped, I lose control of the truck. I almost ran into the pole. That's when I drove home, and that's when I found out that the tailgate was ripped off. But whatever it
Wow.
was strong enough to lift up the back of the truck. Whatever, and
As it's
I was
moving.
going on the move, and I was going on the
Yeah.
move. I was going 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So whatever was capable of jumping in the back of the truck and lifting it while I was going 40, it had to be fast and
Well,
strong.
not
That's it.
only lift it, but stop it and lift it. I mean,
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we know, Travis. We both know of cases like that with involving trucks
Yeah,
and
and
them chasing
that day
vehicles.
that
And
happened,
yeah,
it wasn't
they're not
raining.
afraid
There
of
was
trucks.
nothing like that happening. I just seen the big old figure in the back of the. I could see it through the rearview mirror. You know, something huge. You have
Yeah.
brought
Well,
something big old massive figure behind. I just couldn't see nothing else. Just seen something behind me. And when it dropped the truck, I lost control. But I grabbed control. I almost ran into the pole. So I just passed the cemetery because I was gonna go stop. I would like. I used to go and visit my mom at nighttime or during the day. You know, go
Right.
visit by her grave and be there with her,
Sure.
by her gravesite. That's what I was gonna do. But whatever that was, it had to be fast for me to be going 40 miles, but to pick it up on the move, you know, that's
yeah, I mean, I've actually had a steer pick up the back of a truck before with his head. I was pushing corn shucks out the back of this half-ton Chevrolet pickup truck, and he got his head under the bumper, and he literally lifted the back of the truck up. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're talking
yes,
like a 11, 1,200 pound steer,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
but you're talking about stopping a 5,500 pound truck from a 40-mile-an-hour roll and picking it up.
Back when trucks were trucks,
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And then
just
rip
to
the
stop
tailgate
it.
off completely. I mean,
Yeah.
It was
that's
hanging.
power.
When I got home,
I mean,
the tailgate was hanging. It was hanging. It ripped the tailgate.
Right.
You know, it was
Wow.
just
Yeah,
hanging.
that's a whole lot of force right there. And
That's a whole other ballgame.
I'm still thinking about what you said about the scat being thrown on you.
Me too.
So you're talking about, all right, first of all, there's no bird on earth that's going to produce that much scat.
It was
So
all
we
over
might as
there,
well
man.
go ahead, get rid of that. Now you got to think about, let's just say it was somebody wanting to be a-hole, like, hey, he's running up there, let's throw shit on him. Well, first of all, where'd you get it from? You're waiting on him. You ready to do that? Next of all,
Right.
how big is your hand to throw that much crap
Exactly.
accurately at a man running at night, hit him in the face? You just add all of it up. None of it really makes sense.
That day that I was running, it was during the day. It was
Oh,
daylight.
it
It
was
was
during the
like
day.
around.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
It was like it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:30. When they
So
hit
that
me,
makes
the
it
sun
even
was out and
more.
everything. So
That makes
there
it
was
even
nobody
harder
there.
for. So now we're talking about. All right, I'm just going to play this out for you skeptics. So now you
Yeah.
got a man laying in the woods in a ghillie suit
Yeah.
with 2 pounds of crap in his hand that's big enough to hold 2 pounds of crap, and he's going to get up in his ghillie suit and accurately hit you running.
And he knows when
immediately
Abe's coming
vanish
by.
again. Right.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
No.
I got hit hard. I was upset, you know, because I thought that maybe, possibly, that's why I looked. The first thing I do is look to the sky, but I didn't see no bird and I didn't see no airplane. Because sometimes the airplanes be dropping stuff from the sky, you know. So I'm looking.
Yeah, it does happen. Yeah, but
There
damn,
was
man.
nothing in the.
But even with
There was
that,
nothing.
like you say, it
And it was
came
fresh
at you
too.
at a lateral. Right.
Yeah, and it was
Lateral.
fresh.
See, and
It was fresh.
And you
my
would know what
thing with-
human shit smelled like.
It was still warm, dude. It was warm poop.
Wow.
Well, that didn't fall from 30,000 feet.
No, absolutely not.
You know,
Absolutely not.
I mean,
It was warm.
See, that's my thing with so many different encounters, like what you're talking about, is people, they'll just make up all kinds of excuses for it. But when you really break down the details of how and why this could have happened or would have happened, it doesn't make just common sense. There's no easy explanation for it.
No.
So in my mind, what I'm thinking is one of these dudes was just there, saw you coming, and he just reached around and grabbed him a good old handful, and he said, "Pow,
pow."
And that is
or
a couple
of them maybe.
primate. Yeah, it could have been. Yeah,
It was
been
one
two.
hit. Yeah, it was one hit with a big old pile of shit. One hit that hit
One
me
hit.
back.
And I think too, I mean, Jeremiah can tell you this, and I know too, they're exceptionally accurate at throwing
Oh
rocks.
my
So I
Man,
mean, I'm pretty
They-
sure they're pretty good at throwing handfuls of crap too, you know.
They're
Look.
very proficient, and if they want to hit you, they're gonna hit you.
The throw is so hard, man, that it knocked me back, and I didn't see it coming. It came at me so fast that I just felt the impact. I didn't see the poop. I was running.
Right.
I just boom. It hit me here, boom, on the side, and here in the chest.
Wow.
It came from the right side. So this I could still see from this eye, because it hit me from this side and here. So I looked towards the wood area. First I look up, and then I look to the wood area. I stopped running, and I was looking to see if I see any movement, and I was like, "Who's there?" and stuff like that. But there was nobody there, you know. So then I just took off my shirt and started wiping the rest of the poop off my face. That's when I ran to the cemetery, and I washed it off.
See, and that's even more interesting to me because there have been so many encounters in cemeteries, around cemeteries. I've had some crazy stuff in this is pre-Civil War slave cemetery.
Mm.
And this is just my own little theory about this, but if you want to be somewhere comfortable that people don't go at night, go to a cemetery.
Absolutely.
Very few people go to cemeteries at night or anywhere around them. So
Yep.
why wouldn't that be kind of a safe area? And even in the daytime, they're just kind of hanging out, and here you come running along, minding your own business, and this cat's over there behind a couple trees, brush, whatever. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna teach him a lesson. He ain't gonna come
Yep.
back here.
Yep.
Yeah, I would run the same route every day, Monday through Friday. I would run the route, and sometimes on the weekends too. The same route on that dirt road, I would run it. So maybe I don't know. I'm assuming that it's saying, "Hey, this is my property or my territory. You're not welcome."
Without a doubt.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured, and I guess it did what it did. I guess it knew my scent, after running through the same route over and over, because I was.
Oh, yeah.
And how old were you when this happened?
When that happened to me, I was 16 years old.
Okay, so now this is where my mind's going. So let's say this was a juvenile male. You're 16 years old, running, sweating, you putting out a lot of pheromones, hormones, your competition, and you're just steadily every day just running brazenly through my territory.
Absolutely.
So
Or even with a mature male, take it, even the alpha of the group. See who's this little prick running through here every day.
He's a challenge to my turf, my group.
Yep.
And you could have just been interpreted that way. And I mean, of course, you just out running. You ain't thinking about that.
Yeah,
right.
They would run or run pretty hard, and I'll be like focusing a lot. Like,
sure,
I'll be running, but I like my mind is somewhere else, thinking about something while I'm running. It's like, and I wouldn't wear like heads. Back then it was a video. I wouldn't do that.
The Walkman.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the Walkman thing. I would just run, and just enjoy the mother nature and just run, and think about maybe something to give me that extra drive to push harder,
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that just blows my mind. I'm gonna kind of ask you something kind of on the disgusting side now, but I'm curious to know, did you get a good look at it? Was there anything in it that would have given you an idea of what it would have consumed before it had been thrown at you, or probably not, right?
Yeah, it stopped me from a run. I was just worried about taking it off my face and my body, that I didn't focus on looking on the poop.
Right.
So my after I was looking, it's like, and nobody responded, nothing. I couldn't see nothing. It's like my instincts told me to get the hell out of there, So I ran to the cemetery as fast as I could, and take the scent of the poop off of me, and then I just ran back home. From where I was at the cemetery I had to run at least let me see, like probably 3 more miles to get home, 2-3 more miles to get home from the cemetery. So
Oof.
I don't know if it followed me home or I don't know, but I think because there was one time after that that I do remember that that I was working out and I found I went inside the house, came outside, and I tripped over something. And when I was reaching on the ground, I found a donkey head on
Oh,
my porch, on the front door of the porch. That's what I tripped over. So I grabbed the donkey head and I went and put it in the alley. A lot of things like that were happening after that. Like I would find dead animals, dead cats, and along the fence, like something was putting them on the fence. You know,
yeah.
strange
I've heard.
events, strange things started
Yeah.
happening, or banging on the
About the.
walls.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I've experienced that
boom,
myself, and
boom,
they're
boom. Like
relentless about it.
my
Yep.
home, it was wood home. It wasn't that big. It was
Yep.
just long, and there was one day I just hear like big old poundings, and
Yep.
the whole house is trembling.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
They'll do
that
that.
sounds to me like you either pissed off an alpha male
Yep.
or it was like
Or
a
like you said.
rogue individual male.
Yep.
You caught a challenge from him.
yeah,
Yeah. And not even knowing you did it, and that's the thing, and that's what people we were saying earlier. People just they don't understand how you know these things can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the
you know
donkey head, Abe, if you don't mind. Um,
what?
as far as the donkey head goes, was it? Did you get a good look at that? Was it had it been twisted off, or
It
do you
was just
remember?
I just got rid of it as fast as I could because
I
my
don't
brothers
blame
and
you.
sisters were inside the house and they were younger than me,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
at that
Did
time,
you
yeah, I didn't want them to get scared, so I just grabbed it and
I
just
don't
threw it
blame you.
over the fence, put some
did
branches
you
over it.
notice did you notice as far as like the hide where the sever was it any dangles shredded, torn looking, or was it like clean, just like it was razor cut?
Like I said, I didn't get a look at it. It was dark. It was nighttime. The
You
only
just
thing
chucked it.
I'm thinking it was more of not a big donkey's head, but a smaller donkey.
Sure.
That's what it seemed like to me, like a smaller donkey's head, and it was I just don't know how I got there, And I have dogs, but that was a big head, that
Yeah.
to be in front of my. And when he was placed, I was outside working out. I went inside the house, but when I drank some water. As soon as I came out, that's when I tripped over it. But it wasn't there. I don't know where it came from. But whatever placed it there must have been pretty fast
Oh yeah. Then damn
for me not
fast. Yeah,
to witness it and for that big of a head. And it was pretty heavy.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. That's wild. Now, now as far as anything goes after that, did it get worse? How did it end up? How did it turn out after that? How did it progress or decrease after that with that type
Well,
of
after
activity?
that, I kind of stopped going down the route. I
Yeah,
wouldn't go that route no more. After
I
that
don't blame
incident,
you.
I didn't go that route. I
I don't
shortened
blame
the
you.
route and I went a different direction. I run twice around the same direction, but I stopped going to that area
Yeah,
uh, to where it happened. I didn't want it to happen, something for it to happen again. Uh,
yeah. I don't blame you. Yeah, it's like Travis was saying. It sounds to me like someone was trying to scare you or make a statement or something because man, that's
you
that's,
see, I
that's
remember an incident like that, brother, when I was younger. I guess I was like 11 or 12, and we live in a four lot, and it was our house and our grandmother's house, and my grandmother was still alive.
mm-hmm,
I remember there was one day that I was hearing all kinds of animals outside. I
mm,
mean, I'm talking about I could hear elephants, lions, tigers, all these noises that the animals make that were
yep,
happening, right? So it happened all night till the sun rose. Once the sun rose, when we went outside, well, what I did notice, there's it was crap everywhere on the floor, like on both of the lots, it was full of crap everywhere. So me and my brother spent all day shoveling shit, and we threw it in the back in the alley all day, right? So I told my grandmother's like, what? I was like, what caused this? And she's like, it's probably a dog. I said, that's not no dog. Look, it's different sizes of poop, like different animal poop.
So that's what
So
I was gonna ask you. So they were all different sizes.
different sizes, yeah. So
See,
we're shoveling this all day, me and my brother. So then she's like, we're gonna lock the gates. We chained them up, locked them up, and then we put boards underneath the. But you could tell that nothing crawled through the fence because it was kind of to the ground. But we still put boards. We barricaded everything, right? So night came along. That the same thing happened. You could hear all these different animals. I mean, the elephant. You could hear. It sounded like a whip, like a wagon, and you could hear a
yeah.
man yelling like, "Yeah, yeah!" And you could hear the
Wow.
whip. And you could hear the horses. You could hear all these things happening, right? So when the sun rose, me and brother go out there, and guess what? There's crap everywhere again. So we spent
Whoa.
Saturday and Sunday picking up crap off the floor, and we don't know where it came from. So
That's got me just
yeah,
totally twisted around. I don't know what to think. Begin
that's
to
and
look at
that's
that.
something I'll never forget. Because I was trying to. I was a kid. I'm like, where we barricaded everything. There's nothing, no way, nothing will come in here. But then there they are. We're literally picking up poop from the ground, man. It was like feces everywhere, like poop
All
from
over.
different sizes. And
Yeah.
it was all over both yards.
And now, and the animals you mentioned you were hearing, like
Yeah, I mean, I was
that's
ele-
that's amazing. I mean,
I was
elephant, you
hearing all
said.
different kind of animals, I remember my mom. She was praying, and she was on an issue with just praying and praying and praying. And for the both of those nights that happened, that's what she was doing, is just praying and praying, and you could hear all this events happening outside, and my mom, I wanted to go see what was causing it, but my mom said, don't go outside, don't go outside, and she was just barricading the door. So I don't know what all that was about, but I know it happened.
Do you think
Because
she
me and my
knew?
brother, the only thing I could think about that now that I'm older would be what happened would be something out of the supernatural force, or something dealing with
Absolutely.
maybe demonic, or maybe it's something in that nature.
Yeah.
And what's weird is that it left evidence, and the evidence was the poop all over the place that we
Yeah,
had to
absolutely.
pick up.
What better evidence is there? I mean, yeah, yeah. I'd agree with you on that one. That was definitely something
Yeah,
paranormal for sure.
so,
Wow.
to this day, I'm like, what could have caused it? Well,
Yeah.
we had everything barricaded. Nothing could have caused it, So it had to come from
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Right.
And
Right.
I would believe maybe in the supernatural realm.
Absolutely.
And that's one of
Absolutely.
the things that I would think about when the poop hit me. Well, where did it come? Is either, like you said, from and when I seen it lifted. So I honestly thought it was from some kind, like a Bigfoot or some kind of creature,
Something.
because
Yeah.
of what I seen. They lifted the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. That's just wild. I don't even know what to make of that. I'm gonna talk to my
Yeah,
wife, see if she's ever heard think that.
my brother,
Wow.
we always talk about it, but he really don't like talking about the past. The
Yeah.
only thing he tells me something about that, he said there's a lot of elementals out there. That's all he says. My
Yeah.
brother, he's older than me. He just
Okay.
talks about the elementals or something like that.
Yep. Yep. The spirits of the nature spirits, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean. That's what they are basically, right? The definition of an elemental. I think
Well,
anyway.
they my understanding of it, now, I ain't no expert, but
Yeah.
they manifest themselves off of energy given off by us. Anger,
Okay.
fear, anguish, stress, anxiety.
Okay.
Typically, our
Okay.
negative emotions are fuel for them to be able to manifest physically
Yeah,
in our reality, if that makes sense.
it's like if
Right.
we give it an opening, like
Oh,
where,
sure.
like you said, if we're angry, if we have unforgiveness, that could be an opening, for them to manifest.
Sure.
And they manifest a little bit. It could. I always give this example. It could be a little tapping sound. You hear it, it's like, oh, just a tapping sound. Then you hear a knock. It's oh, it's a knock now, and it's coming from the same direction.
And
Then all of a sudden, it's
they're provoking an emotional and mental
Yeah.
response from
exactly
you, and that way, I mean,
And you
it's
giving
almost
it
like
attention.
yeah, they're
it's like
Yeah.
giving
luring
it
you.
power. And it goes from a
Right.
knocking sound to a banging sound. Boom, boom, boom,
Yep.
and that's all.
Yep.
That's it begins. And that happened to me. Matter of fact, 3 nights ago, the cold front came in. There was a little cold front that came in, and I was going to sleep. And then next thing you know, I hear like right there by my head, by my wall here, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give it power. I just did the sign of the cross, because
Right.
it was right by my head where I was sleeping. You could hear it like 3 times, 3 knocks,
3. Yeah.
like a tapping sound, boom, boom, boom. So I didn't give it that power. Or there's
Well,
times
that's
that I
kind of
go
like
Dude.
outside. I can go outside, right? And all of a sudden I hear my name being called. The same things that would happen. And I live in a different vicinity where I used to live. I moved to a different town, and sometimes my name gets called very loudly, but I don't give them
Mm.
the attention.
The attention.
Like
It's good.
it's trying to how should I say? Yeah, get my attention to see if I give it an opening, but I'm not giving it an opening.
They're gonna give it to
So
it. Yeah.
I just
It's
do the
like
sign of the cross, and I
yeah.
say, hey, you're not welcome here.
Yep. Yep.
that's kind of
Take
like you
authority
remember
over it.
Jeremiah, me and you having a conversation a long time ago about certain things representing themselves in your
Yes.
dreams, as far as from your
Yes.
past to
Yes.
trigger a fear response or a
Mhm.
remorse response, and the more they get that emotion from you, the more powerful they get until you,
Absolutely.
like what Abe's talking about, you don't cater to it,
Yeah.
you don't
Absolutely.
It
fear it.
reminds me of it reminds me of an episode. I know y'all remember Lost in Space when I was growing up.
Oh yeah. Oh
Remind me
yeah.
of an episode of Lost in Space where he sees a ghost, and the ghost is real small. It's like a little ghost, like the size of him as a kid. Next thing you know, the ghost starts playing games on him, and he gets start getting scared, and the ghost gets bigger and bigger. And by the time you
Mm.
know, the ghost is bigger than the ship, and it's trying to destroy their spaceship. But it's because they're all afraid. Even everybody's in the crew afraid. So he conquered it by taking authority over it and not giving it,
Yeah.
showing it fear. Once he did that, the ghost went small and disappeared.
Disappeared. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what happens sometimes. If we might be going through something physically, uh,
Yes.
health wise, or maybe we're having family problems. There
Yep.
might be tension within the family, or a
Sure.
relationship problem wise, and those are the openings they use. That's what
Absolutely.
that's why I always tell everybody, Montana Love Foundation, no matter what the situation is, even if somebody gets right in your face, Montana Love Foundation, because that could be an opening. It could be using that individual, not that they're bad people, but it could be using that individual to come up against you, just to see if we can find that opening to attach
That
itself to you.
opening.
Yeah.
They're parasites.
Well, it comes down
You know.
to, I mean, it's like a pack of wolves.
Yes.
Let's say a pack of wolves fall into a herd of elk, and they'll
Mhm.
run them, they'll chase them, they'll mess with
Wear
them
them down.
until they find one that's either injured, old, sick, weak, a calf. They're trying to find that one weakness, and that's all they
Yep.
need is that one. And I mean, they're experts at finding that.
To go
And
for the
it's the
kill.
Phenomenal.
same, it's the same idea. That's it. I mean, they're
Same
looking for that
principle.
one,
Absolutely.
Yep.
They try to
Yep.
do that. They try to find a. You know what? No, I lost my mom back in 1985. When all those things were happening to me, she was already gone. But I believe it did that. It tried to target me by using
It's on the
her.
floor right there.
Well, and
Sorry. Go
I
ahead.
do believe that. I believe that happens. I mean, I've had friends over the years, that lost someone close to them, and in the few days to follow, maybe even the weeks to follow, they would have strange things go on, see shadows,
Mhm.
have just crazy dreams, you know.
Mm.
And I think that's what it is. I think there's just something dark there that's just looking for a way in.
It's kind of like,
Waiting for
Absolutely.
that
I lost my mom
one
like in
opportunity.
85, right? And what happened to me at Elms Grove, it was one day, I heard the dog barking outside. So I go up to the front porch and I'm looking, and my neighbor's light is on. He has got a porch with a bench, and I see somebody sitting on the bench, and I'm looking, and I go walk towards the street, and the person stands up, and it's a woman, you know, and I'm looking at the woman. I'm looking, it's like, man, she looks familiar, right? And then she walked down the stairs. She turned around and faced me, and I looked, and it's like, whoa, shit. The person I saw was my mother. But in my
Oh,
mind, it said, there's no way that could be my mother. But it was in the form of her, you know?
well,
So,
that's what they'll do. They'll
Trying to
project themselves
trying
as
to
a
trick
loved
you.
one.
yeah, yeah. And he was trying to
Oh
use a
yeah.
weakness, right?
Yep.
So it's just a memory. I could use my memory. So I seen
Yep.
her go, and then she was on the other side of the street, and I was looking at her, and she started walking towards the vicinity of the park. And I was walking parallel she was on the right side. And then by the time we passed the mobile home, I don't see her no more. So, but the first thing I said to myself was like, it's not you. I'm not going to believe in you,
Mhm.
you know, because
Right.
I knew it was her. There's no way she could be here.
Right.
And that's how I took it
Well,
as. And then when it was going towards the woods, I know what it was something bad. They were just
Absolutely.
messing with me that it took her form, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I had someone close to me several years ago lost their dad, and within maybe 2 days, she saw a dark figure standing in the bedroom one night. That I mean, she was wide awake and knew it was there, and told me. She said, I felt like that was my dad, and I told her, I said, that wasn't your dad.
No.
Your dad had passed on. Your
Hmm.
dad had moved on. That was something different. It was trying to trick you into believing it was something not
Yeah,
malicious in what it was.
That's right.
that's what they do. They pretend to be something that someone you might know. They pretend to be that
Mhm.
way, so you can give it power because you start believing it's them. And
Yep.
it's kind of like, I guess, when you're a kid. I mean, I would see this shadow figure of this boy, and my mom would see him too. That's a weird thing. Is like I could see something running around the house, right, and he'll be peeking through the window screens like this. And I could see a boy. Next thing you know, he's running and he's moving fast, but it's in the form of a shadow, and he'll stop by every window and he's looking like this inside the
Peeking.
he's looking right
Yeah.
inside, peeking through the window, and I go
He was
outside to
waiting.
look for him,
He was
and there's
waiting for
nobody
an
out there.
invitation.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah.
when they talk
You
when they
know,
talk about Bigfoot, right? And I always see this that he's looking in the windows like this, right? That he's looking in the windows. Well, that's how what I seen with the shadow figure, whatever it was, it would take a form of a little boy, and he would be looking through the window like this at me, wanting me to
Mm.
go
well,
out.
if you kind of, this is kind of a crazy example, but I'm going to use it because I think its symbology behind it actually has some real roots. You watch the old vampire movies and the vampire stories. They say that a vampire cannot enter your home without an invitation.
Invitation.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in vampires, but I believe the symbology of it goes back to evil cannot enter your home unless you invite it in. It does not have the capability of the power to truly enter your dwelling unless you somehow, even if you're not conscious of it, invite it to do so.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to do, is trick you into that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it be
Yeah.
through some innocent manifestation or someone that someone close to you. You talking about literally, we're literally talking about forces of evil, pure evil.
Absolutely.
They're going to do
Pure.
anything they can to get in.
yes,
Absolutely. Anything they can. Anything. Anything. It's I don't know how familiar you guys are with astral projection, stuff like that. My wife's really, Stacy Travis, and she's into some
Yeah.
pretty heavy duty stuff, and she has some very powerful abilities. But she uses as an example, some people that are capable of doing that they'll leave their body while they're sleeping and go off and do something else, but you're leaving a vessel there unattended.
Yep.
Which gives something that's evil a perfect opportunity to hop in there. And it's like
I'm
you
gonna
said, you know.
I'm gonna tell you another story that happened like that. It was a midnight mass in the Catholic Church, and midnight mass is at midnight at
Yeah.
nighttime. So
Yeah, I remember
so
them
I'm
back
in
in the
there
day.
and inside the mass, and I was feeling dizzy, and my mom told me to step outside. In the church, they had the openings where you could step outside, stairs. So she
Uh-huh.
said, stand right there so I can keep an eye on you. So I'm sitting there getting air because I was feeling dizzy. So I'm getting there and I'm standing out there. It's kind of fresh. And next thing I hear is somebody say something, and I look and I see a tree and somebody's going like this, like calling me
Mm.
to go over there by the tree. So I'm looking at the tree and I'm looking at my mom and she's looking at me and I look back that way. So next thing you know, I see something coming walking and is walking down the sidewalk and I'm looking at stands right there and I'm looking at it. It looks like a man, but it's not a man. It's a
Mm.
it's a figure, like a shadow, and it's looking at me. And this is what it tells me. It tells me, come with me. And I said no.
Mm.
And then it says, come with me. And I said no. It said, do not believe. This is what he said. Do not believe what's being said up there, which was a preacher
Mm.
or the priest that was talking, right? And he said, come with me, believe in me. That's what he said, or whatever. So when it said that to me, next thing I hear is my mom in Spanish, like, "¿Por qué estás hablando?" Like, who are you talking to? She's right there beside me. And I
Mm.
said, with a man and when I pointed, she looked and she seen it go behind the tree. She seen it go behind the tree. And she's like, grab me. And she's yelling, like, hey, come here. And she goes, we're walking down the sidewalk. And she goes, and so I see you right there behind the tree. And when we're behind the tree, there was nothing behind the tree. So she said, let's go. And we started walking around the parish hall. We walked around the street, around the block. She couldn't find nothing. And when we came back towards the side of the church, she said, "Ay Maria Purísima." She said, "Holy Mary, Mother of God," and she did the
Mm.
sign of the cross because it was something evil.
Sure.
Uh, and that's an incident that happened to me, And then when I see all this shadow of where I used to live, all these figures and all this, I've seen this before, So it's
Mm.
nothing new for me because of what I've seen it since I was a kid, with when I helped the
Yeah.
medicine woman, and I will see him leaving people. And I think those are negative attachments, like people that leave an opening that get attacked. And you
Yep.
ever hear somebody say, "I don't remember nothing. The devil made me do it," because sometimes
Yeah.
it possesses people. They don't know what they do.
No.
They don't know what they do,
Nope.
but it's
Nope.
because of the opening. The opening could be because they're angry about something. That could be the opening. The anger.
Yep. Even
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
a physical illness. I know, Stacy won't take me on a lot of her. She'll go to do readings or an
Yes.
investigation. And there's a lot of times where she won't take me with her because I'm epileptic. And
Yes.
she says that is a perfect opening for something to grab onto you. And, between Travis knows this, but this past summer I had a pretty heavy duty experience where something tried to grab on and she took care of it, but it was scary. And,
Yes.
very, very scary, but she won't take me on a lot of these things because of the epilepsy, that's a physical illness can be an opening, you know, they'll take advantage of any weakness. Like it's any type of armor. It's got a kink somewhere,
Yes.
so it really does. I mean, they're parasites and that's all there is to it, and then, I see what really gets me is you see these kids all over YouTube messing around with these Ouija boards and drawing the pentagrams and thinking it's all a big game. Well, you know what? They're gonna find out at some point it's not a game. And
And yeah, they get spiritually attacked and they go into
yeah,
convulsions, which is a convulsion is like a seizure, which it means
yes,
You know, if you look up epilepsy on Google, you know, the reason I know about epilepsy is because I have epilepsy. I didn't have it before, but I had it after I got in an accident in California. I flew out of the tank
Mm-hmm.
and I hit my head. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know I had
Same here.
epilepsy for about 10 years later. Uh,
Yeah.
the neurologist diagnosed me with it, and he said it's probably most likely because of the blow. So I
Yeah.
have to take medicines for that. But yeah,
Same
when you
here.
see the people being attacked, is big. They go into convulsions into seizure, like is because they're being spiritually attacked. It happens.
Absolutely.
Their eyes roll back. I had a young friend when I was growing up. His name was Frankie, and he had seizures. He always carried a spoon. I mean, he had
Mm.
full blown seizures, and he would say,
Grand malls.
if I have a seizure, to stick the spoon in my mouth, and I would try to stick it in his mouth when he would have them, and he'd be like, you know,
Oh yeah.
biting, and it's like I couldn't, you know, I was afraid he was gonna
Yeah.
bite me,
Right.
but yeah,
Right.
that's no joke. Seizures are not
No.
no joke.
No.
I've lost
Definitely not.
my friend Frankie. He passed away of that, and I've known other people that had that seizures that passed away from epilepsy.
Oh,
Mine
it's no
is
joke. That's
controlled.
for sure.
Mine is controlled through medication that they gave me. Levitracin works pretty good, you know. So I haven't had a
Good.
seizure in a very long time.
Good. Yeah, I've been bitching to Travis for the last 3 months. He's died. When we made our move from North Carolina up here, the doctor wouldn't give me any meds to last me. It took me 2.5 months to get into a primary care doctor up here, let alone another neurologist. So I went, 2 months without medication, and I ended up in the hospital about 2 weeks ago because I had six of them in a row. And
Yeah, what medicines do they give you, brother, or you taking?
I'm on. I take one called zonisamide. It's a new one. The neurologist I saw years ago started me on that. It's fairly new. I've been on oxycarbazine, and I also take like a anticonvulsant like lorazepam as well.
Yes,
But
when I was going through a lot, they had me on Delanton and gabapentin, and I'm
yeah,
glad I got
I've
off
taken
those.
that. Yeah,
Those
I
are
got off the gabapentin.
those cause a
Yeah.
lot of hallucinations.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's experienced that, and I did not like the way that stuff that gabapentin made me feel. Yeah, no, not at all. No, it made a lot of audio. For me, it caused hallucinations too. You know what I mean? Where you hear things that weren't really. Well,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
they were, but maybe they weren't. I don't know.
you're hearing things. You might see things that are
Yes,
not there.
absolutely.
But you know,
Yeah,
like there could be openings. You drink a beer, that could be an opening. You smoke a
absolutely.
joint, that could be an opening. You know, any little thing could be
Absolutely.
an opening.
Anything, anything,
Spiritually.
anything, anything. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
some of the things that I never really talk about is the things that I did while I was going through the things I was going through, like in Elms Grove.
Uh-huh.
Since I was going it by myself, you know, and I didn't really want to tell too much to family, what I would do is I was always taking pictures and I was always recording. I had a little EVP, so every
Oh yeah.
time I hear something, I would turn it on and I will talk like, "Who's there?" and the recordings, you could hear growlings, you could hear
Yes.
you could hear many of them. Like
Yep.
you could hear like literally on the recordings on the EVPs, you could hear many growlings and like there was many of them around me, but you can't see them
Yep.
in the naked eye. But in the recording, you could
Mm-hmm.
hear them very clear. And I asked them one time, what was their name, you know, to identify themselves on the EVP, and it said they were called the herd, you know. And when I
Mm.
think about the herd, the only thing I can think of is the pig herd or the pig in the
Yeah.
Bible when Jesus casted out the demons of that person that was the possessed, and they went into the flock into the herd of swine, and
Yeah.
the swine
Yeah.
and the swine ran off the. So when it
Right.
said when it said the herd, that's what I think of it as, or you know, the legion, that it was something.
Yep.
What was there around me because I could hear many was that. So, that's where I
Yeah.
would just go into prayer because
Sure.
I
Yeah.
understood. I guess since we have spirits and we have an opportunity to make it into heaven, we
Yes.
have we have something they don't have, which will be an opportunity to make it into heaven. They don't have
Yes.
the opportunity. That's why they got casted down. So, and
Absolutely.
I believe that's why sometimes it's about taking our opportunity away from us, and so many people in this world, rest their soul. They've taken their lives out of this world through suicide,
Hmm.
and those are the ones that I guess the more they can deceive, the more they can treat, you know, to losing the opportunity. Well, that's what their mission is. But they don't want us to talk about love. They don't want us to talk
No.
about that. The love is what's going to conquer all that. That's why I
Yeah.
would say maintain the love foundation because it don't like love, and the reason I don't like love
No.
because with love, that's the the love is how should I say? It's going to help our spirit make it into the heaven.
Absolutely.
But you know how
And
it is in
maybe
this world right now, brother. It's just real
the
rough. Whether it be political or look at Facebook, done blocked me for a month.
oh,
It's like it don't want me to say nothing. Send a positive. I like sending positive messages. Or I might say
sure.
something like faith over fear. Like I can't do nothing like that right now. But I know that the people, everybody's got their own love foundation in some kind of way. But yeah, it's like it feels like to me that it's preventing me from doing what I like to do spiritually.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say
I
this:
totally get it.
God put the most wonderful and the most awful creature He could have ever created on earth, and that's people.
Yes.
Because we can be the greatest thing on earth or the most
Or
horrible thing on earth,
horrible. Horrible.
and
Yes.
yep, and it's a simple
Mhm.
choice, and that
What
choice
others?
can be
What are
swayed one way or
absolutely
the
very
other.
easily? Yeah. And what other species? What what other species be off each other in record numbers? You know what I mean? Look at the
Yeah, there's
Holocaust. What they
never,
did.
there's never been an organism on this planet more destructive than mankind, except
Than
for
us.
maybe a
Yes.
virus.
Exactly. Right.
And
Right.
the virus is not conscious of what it's doing; it's just doing what it does.
Right. Right. Right.
Mankind consciously does what mankind
Abs-
does.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
how you was talking about the Ouija boards or those kids mess with your boards. I got a story
Yeah.
for you
Yeah.
about a Ouija board. My sister, when we were teenagers, uh,
Mm,
she had bought a Ouija board. I was working at Walmart, coming out late, like around 10:30. I
yep.
guess over the weekend she had bought a Ouija board from a garage sale. It was an old Ouija board made out of
Mm,
wood,
ooh.
and she was always messing with it. And I was like, "What do you got there?" It's oh, it's just a Ouija board. It's just something to play with. Blah blah blah. So she was taking it everywhere, even to school. She would take it with her. Then
Mm,
I remember one day I came off of work, and when I walked inside the house, she's just sitting there, and her hair is over her face like this, right? So
ugh.
I'm like, "Hey, what's the matter?" And then she's like, she said, "Fuck you." I was like, "What'd you say?" And she said, I think she said something, David, or David told me to tell you that. I said, "Who's David?" I said, and she was pointing at the Ouija board. Next thing you know, she put her finger like this, and he starts spelling things, and she starts saying all the bad words that he's spelling, and it's like I'm looking at this little thing move by itself. She's not even touching it. It's just going all crazy. So, and it said, "You kill me, that's why I kill your mother." That's what he said. Once he said that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of this Ouija board.
Yeah.
So I took it off of her, and I grabbed it, and she jumped on me, and she started scratching me in the face, and I threw her, and I grabbed the Ouija board, and I had a crucifix, and I put the crucifix, threw some holy water on it, and then I moved the crucifix, and grabbed the gasoline, and I burned the sucker. I burned it, lit it up. It just caught on fire. Dark smoke was coming out of it, and after that happened, there was some other friends that came and they grabbed the rest, the ashes or whatever, and they put it in a bag and they took it and threw it away.
Yeah.
2 weeks
Yep.
later, 2 weeks later, it's 2 weeks later after I did the Ouija board. My sister's acting normal and everything. Nothing wrong with her no more. Uh, as it happened, I was outside talking to some friends. We were talking, and I was making them laugh with some female friends. And
Damn it. Sorry, dude. That was sorry.
As we were
That was your
talking,
number.
there was this man on a bike. Um, he passed. He passed, and as he was passing, he made this yelling sound like "woo" real loud, and the girl started screaming. Right, so I just started screaming because I got scared. He turned around on the bike. It was around 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock, and he stopped right there. And I'm looking at him, and he looked familiar. He looked like this guy named Martin that I know from school. Right, so he's looking at me. I'm looking at him, and he's like looking at the girls, and he's like, "Who's scared here?" I said, "Who's scared?" And as I'm looking, at the girls, they're not moving. They're like just like not moving at all. They're not blinking or nothing. And I tell him, nobody's scared. And he looked at me and said, "You shut up." And I said, "Look, man," I said, "you need to leave. You're not invited here. What are you? You're not welcome here. You need to leave." And as I tell him that, he looks at me and I had my hand on my hips. He started mimicking me. He put his hand on his hips. I put my arms like this. He started doing everything I was doing, right? So I'm looking at him and I said, "Look, Martin," I said, "I don't know what if you're on something or what, but you need to leave. You're not welcome here." And he said, and I'm looking at the girls, and the girls are not moving. They're like frozen, like the time is stopped or something. So they're not moving.
Yeah.
They're just like. So I'm looking at him, and he said, "You need to leave." And he said, "Look, I'm going to give you a hint why I'm here." And there's a hint that he gave me. He said, "Just because you place a cross on me, some holy water, and burn me, don't mean you're going to get rid of me." That's what he said, right? So when I heard that, the first thing that I thought about was a Ouija board,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So as I was thinking about the Ouija board, my sister came out of the house and she looked at him and she even recognized him as Martin, right? And she's like, "Hey, how you doing, Martin?" And then he looked at her and he said, "How you doing, B?" And he had this weird
No.
smile on his face. And I started talking to him about God, and he started making this weird noise, like he started like growling at me. And my sister looked at me and I said, and she took off inside the house, right? So she came back out and she had the Bible, and we started praying. And as we were praying, he said, "This is what he told me. There's two paths. In one path, you already know that one." He said, "But in my path, you can have whatever you want in this world, anything in my path." And I said, "Well, you already know what I'm going to choose, what I've chosen, and that's God." And he started getting mad, and he's like, "There's going to be a day that God is not going to be there for you. When he's not there for you, I'm going to be there." And as I started saying the Our Father, he started going on his bike, and next thing you know, poof, a puff of smoke, and it smelled like
Gone.
sulfur, just gone like that. In the blink of an eye,
Yep.
not even 10 feet away from me, I could see him just disappear out of nowhere. But
Wow.
it was like one of my first spiritual battles that I remember. I was 17 years old that I remember of. My first spiritual battle was then, and I stood strong with my faith and belief in God, and I overcame it.
Yeah.
That's
For
when you told
sure.
me about Ouija board. That's the story I wanted to share about that.
Yeah.
The Ouija board. That
Absolutely.
yeah, I got rid of the board and all that, but it's when it's a summoner. It summons his demons,
It
right?
does. It
You know,
does. It does.
or it leaves an opening, right? It's about
The
opening,
conduit.
and
Yeah.
and yeah, and they come through.
Hmm. Yep.
He came
And
through, and it
he's
took a form of and like 2 weeks later, I seen Martin, and I said, "Martin, so why you come to my house?" He said he couldn't. He said, I never came to your house," and I told him the date. So why you come scare the girls there? He's like, "It couldn't be me." I said, "Why it couldn't be you?" He said, "Because I was in jail. I've been in jail for 3 weeks."
wow.
So he said that wasn't him, that he was locked up in jail. Then I asked some people all around. I said, "Yeah, he's been in jail for 3 weeks. So there's no way it could have been him."
Wow. It's
I just wanted to share
that's
the
intense.
story with y'all about that,
No,
about the
I'm
Ouija
glad
boards, and
I'm
that there
glad you
could be
did.
openings.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Oh
when
yeah,
people
without
read
a doubt.
cards, that's an opening there. When they read cards,
Well,
that's an
it
opening. Those are openings.
it use someone that you know that you would actually talk to. Well, like
Yes,
it was a
I knew.
stranger, if a stranger came up acting like that, I mean, you're not even going to probably engage in conversation.
Yeah,
So it used someone that you were familiar with so that you would at
Right.
least try and compromise, talk that way it could actually communicate. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Without it just
yes,
being like a defensive, offensive situation where,
yeah, and
you
and
know,
uh, what was weird, he just kept on smiling at me, and his eyes were weird, like they look real reddish. Um, that's why I asked him. I said, "Have you been drinking, and are you been smoking something?" And he said no. And then when he told me that, there's no way he would have known anything about me doing that to the Ouija board. No way in the
Right.
world.
right.
No
And
way.
and another thing, when we I was talking about God and where the path that I was on. This car was passing by. When the car was passing by, the light hit him in the face, and all I could see was a skull. His face was like a skull. That's what
Holy
I could see.
shit.
Like a
Wow.
skull. I could see the light hit him, and he turned his head real fast, but you could see a skull. You know. So I don't know what I was
Wow.
dealing with, but I think it was because of my sister, because of the Ouija
Yeah.
board.
Sounds like there's a connection for sure. Yeah, that's scary. It's scary stuff. You just can't show. You gotta keep a strong mind and stick to your
Yeah.
beliefs. And keep the faith. And man, they're just parasites, and they're gonna try to find any opening they can, and that's all there is to it.
Yes, sir.
But they'll use children too. They'll use a child. That you may know in your life somehow to come and approach you, because who's gonna get defensive against a child?
Yeah.
So they'll
When I was
use
going through
children.
the incidents and I was telling you about the shadow thing that I was seeing, it was a boy. He was my age, and I
Oh
was
boy.
looking, and my mom said, "Go play with him," and it's like, "There's nobody outside, Mom. I don't know who he is. I don't even know him." Right
Yeah.
now that I'm older, you know, I'm seeing these things running around, and I'm like, "Well, is that the thing I was seeing when I was a kid?"
Right.
That would come to my
Right.
house, but it's older, like me
Right.
now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Wow.
when they talk about so many philosophies, right? When they talk about other universes parallel to us,
Yes.
am I seeing
Yeah.
what are the? It's a certain word that they call them. Not a clone. They call it something.
Oh,
Doppelganger.
doppelganger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Doppelganger.
doppelganger.
Yeah.
That's it. I said it
Yeah.
backwards.
Yep.
is what I'm
Yep.
seeing that I've seen one of me, but in a different.
Money. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely some heavy duty stuff, man. But yeah, unfortunately, guys, we've kind of run out of time again, man. We'd love to have you back on at some point, brother.
Alrighty, brother.
I mean, that was that. We really enjoy having you, man. I'll be honest with you, we really enjoy having you.
Time by
You're
went
good.
fast, man.
Yeah, it did, man. It did.
Well,
Yeah, we enjoy having you on. You're on the level, man. That's for sure. And you get a good head up there, man. So keep up the good work, man.
thank you,
You're
brothers,
helping
for
more
having me
people.
on
You're
again. Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
You're helping more people than you realize out there, for sure. Yep, without a doubt. So keep up the good fight, Abe, and
Yes, sir.
we will. We'll I'll get in touch. We'll have you back on at some point, man.
Yeah, but I think January 2nd, I'll be finally off of Facebook jail. They've been finding any little thing just to boot me off for a month. It's like any little thing
Just to lock you up.
just to lock me up.
Yeah, just to
It's
lock
like,
you
man.
up.
And
All
I
right.
can't like anything on Facebook or nothing. Anything y'all post, I can put no likes or nothing or share because they
Nothing.
blocked me. Yeah, but that's okay.
Oh my God. Unreal. All right, guys. Have a
If
good
y'all can
night.
if y'all can
And
share it on my
good.
sites, I would appreciate it. On
Absolutely.
spirit on
Yeah.
positive spiritual and spiritual encrypted encounters, since I
Absolutely.
can't do nothing.
It'll take us usually takes us 2 days to get these rendered and posted and stuff. But by let's say today's Sunday, I'll have it up there by Tuesday.
Alrighty, brothers. Well, thank you very much, and God bless you and your families.
You
Stay
too,
strong, and
buddy.
always remember, like I always tell everybody, always maintain love in your heart, no matter what the situation is. Maintain it. That's going to help us.
Always.
That will help us
Always.
overcome anything.
Absolutely. Well, have a good night, gentlemen, and we will be talking soon. And everyone out there, be good to each other, love each other. I don't care. I know we're going through a tough time in this world, but like my friend here just said, be good to each other, and that's how we're going to overcome this stuff. So everyone be good to one another, and we'll get through this. Everyone have a good night. We will see you next week.